Low pressure lingers out east. Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our Wednesday weather update, recorded on May the 22nd. We've got this low pressure zone out here to the east. This was the satellite image at 8 o'clock last night, Tuesday evening. You can see a lot of the heaviest rain in this area here. Let's animate the next 12 hours to take us through till 8 o'clock this morning, pushing out around the Chatham Islands and now surging back in again as another burst of rain. You can sort of see it all pushing back in as we go through today, Wednesday. So there'll be more rain and then it will start to slide back up the eastern side of New Zealand. So it's a messy and complicated system, as we've been explaining for a few days. On the animated wind map, it's a lot clearer to see where the low pressure system lies, but it's kind of got two centres to it, and it's been like that for the last couple of days. So that's the reason why it is a bit hit and miss who's getting the heaviest of the wet weather. Between the low pressure zone here and the high pressure zone near Australia, there is a windier southerly in the middle. It's a windy southeasterly for much of the North Island, curves around more as a south to southwesterly at the top. But that's all low pressure you see in the darker shading, and that's the reason why there is that instability around the North Island and why we're seeing some of that wet weather slide down eastern areas of the south. This is midnight tonight, so most of the low pressure zone is out here to the east. It is driving in some wet weather into Hawke's Bay. Let's now animate the next 2 days, Thursday and Friday, and you can see the low finally moves away, and what is replacing it? A southwesterly wind. That's what comes in behind it. So by the time we get into the midnight Friday category, you can see high pressure near Tasmania and a southerly wind coming in across the country, or southwesterlies, kind of colder because it's coming out of the Southern Ocean area, but traditional for this time of the year. So let's go back and take a closer look at what is actually coming in for the next couple of days. There is the low out to the east, stretched out because it's actually got a couple of centres to it. If you zoom in closer, you can see two centres in here. To the south, there's a weak area of high pressure. So a weak high and a weak low stacked together, and that drives in that easterly. Now by lunchtime Thursday, the heaviest rain looks to be further up here around northern Hawke's Bay and Gisborne. Hopefully not too problematic, but could still cause a few slips and some isolated areas of flooding. Minimum temperatures on Thursday. For some of you, this will be first thing in the morning. For others of you, it might not be until the end of the day at night time. Check your local forecast for more details. But as you can see, the lower portion and interior of the South Island certainly getting down into the low single digits, a chance of a frost here and there, especially inland where it's more sheltered. And in the North Island, it is cooler as well with that southeasterly, not quite as mild as it was a couple of mornings ago, but still not too bad for this time of the year. Lunchtime Friday, here comes the next cold change. You can see the blue line measures air thickness. So that's a sign that we've got drier, cooler airflows coming through, unlike humid tropical ones. And so it does bring in some showers, but the pale blue means not a huge amount. That'll be falling as snow flurries along the mountains in the south here. Further to the north, just rain showers coming in with the usual setup, and just a few remaining areas of wet weather to the northeast there. Otherwise, it does clear up on Friday. Let's have a look at precipitation. So this is from this evening, from 6 o'clock this evening through until 6 o'clock Friday. So it doesn't capture rain that is falling across today, Wednesday, before 6 p.m. So we could be seeing some heavier rainfall further to the south. Up here, we're talking around about 40 or 50 millimetres. And with the rainfall of today as well, and if that lingers a little bit, that means some areas are still up to around about 100 millimetres. That's quite a lot. Not for everybody. As you can see, it dries out a lot more in other places, but obviously for today, it's South Wednesday, there will be a little more rain around than what that map showed you. Here's the frost risk map for Saturday morning. So when you wake up in the south, central Otago looks a little frosty and through the interior as well, but most of the Canterbury Plains, Southland, for example, borderline, but at this stage doesn't look overly frosty. The frost will be light, I think, if you do have one. Here we are at lunchtime on Saturday. So yes, the risk of that frost is there for Canterbury, but there just might be a little bit of a breeze blowing through, just enough to keep the temperature up a degree or so, but you're right down in that borderline area. Big storm down here. Now what that will do between the storm in the Southern Ocean and the high over Tasmania encourages that southwesterly flow. So Bay of Plenty, Hawke's Bay, Gisborne, Wairarapa, and Canterbury, most of those places are dry. Fairly sunny too, by the looks of it. By Sunday, a little bit of a change. This big storm down here is producing enough wind and colder air that will punch in this sort of southeasterly flow for some of you in the south here, a few snow flurries around. And into the North Island, that colder airflow moves up and a few showers do brush the eastern side, but it won't be much. We're talking just a few showers, less than a couple of millimetres at this stage. And by Monday, that storm moves further to the east, the high up here going a little further northwards, and that still encourages that southwesterly flow. Still cold. Southland in particular, you got a cold few days on the way, wintry weather for the next few days coming up. And if you live in the north here, anywhere from Taranaki northwards, those sou-west showers blowing through, some of them might be a little bit squally, a little heavy and a bit of a wind blowing through with it. Further down you go, Manawatu, Kapiti Coast, those areas looking a lot drier. Into Tuesday, could be a final burst of showers. As the high over here goes even further north, that produces a windy westerly for the southern part of Tasmania. But what that's doing is helping encourage that colder airflow to go further into the North Island. So it will be colder next week with rain showers coming off the Tasman Sea. So really from this Friday through till next Tuesday or even beyond, the southwesters are dominating our weather pattern. And so that means eastern areas start to dry out a bit, western areas and southern ones, plenty of showers. That's all from me. I'll see you again tomorrow, Thursday, with our next update and also our next Australia update. And even if you're a Kiwi, you might be interested in that because we're talking about what is going on with this big high and is it finally going to clear away? We've had high pressure stuck in this part of Aussie now for the whole month of May. So if we can get it to flush out, that could be a game changer for their weather, and then that might change our weather here in New Zealand as well. Wait and see. We'll have more details tomorrow, Thursday, on that. We'll see you then.